Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over some huge updates for the car market. Some of this is pretty dang groundbreaking. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. So the data that we're going over today comes from Cox Automotive and Manheim Auto Auction. So we're going to start with the used car market, then we're going to dive into new cars a little bit. That's not the main topic of today's video though. And then we will also talk about electric cars, both on the new side and on the used side. So first off, with the overall used car market, used car prices did increase over the course of March by about 1.5%. But that's not the whole story, because it wasn't just like a steady, 1.5%, right, throughout the month. It was more like there was a big increase in used car prices at the beginning of March. And then as March progressed, that started to shift and started to actually reverse. And so the end of March saw a lot of used cars start to soften in price. And I think that the number that really shows this is going to be the average amount paid at auction. It was 99.8%. So again, in January and February, dealers on average were paying over 100% of a car's value at auction, whereas now they're starting to pay under 100%. So that means that values are starting to pull back. However, the sales conversion rate is still, it's not high historically, but it's still higher. It's over 65%. And so what this means is, although cars are selling for a little bit less at auction, most of the cars that are going to auction are selling. And so this is just showing that the used car market is a lot more robust than everyone expected. And frankly, it's looking like it's starting to normalize, because back in March of 2019, the sales conversion rate was 65.3%. This March, it was 65.4%. So like, sales conversion rate is right where it normally is. And then also, again, the value amount is right where it normally is for the used car market. And so again, it looks like things are normalizing. Now, if we dive into the individual segments, what we'll see is compact cars year over year are still down by 2.2%. Luxury cars are down by 8%. Midsize, 1.4%. Pickup trucks are up by 0.6%. SUVs and CUVs are down by 2.7%. Vans are down by 3.6%. And the total average amount in the negative is 2.4%. And so again, as we can see, we are starting to see this market where, yeah, things went up a crazy amount, then they went down, and now they're coming back up, and it looks like they're kind of, starting to trend downwards again, but they're not trending downwards aggressively. And so this just might be the new normal for used car prices. Now, the next couple of things that are happening in the used car market is in regards to the sales rate. So month over month, there was an increase in used car sales by about 13%. However, year over year, there was a decline by 6%. And I think this fact is very important, because January was an increase year over year. February was an increase year over year. And now this is the first month this year where we've had a decline in used car sales. And so again, that's just another point to, hey, the used car market did start to run up at the beginning of 2023, but now it's starting to soften again. And so we'll see, how much it softens. But the next thing to note is day supply. So there's only a 38-day supply right now with the used car market. February had a 43-day supply, and March 2022 had a 47-day supply. And I think this day supply number is really important. I think the reason as to why there are fewer used cars selling is, well, obviously the prices went back up, and so this pushes people out because of affordability. But the day supply is really constrained. There's just not a lot of used cars. And the thing to note about the day supply number is this is based off of the sales rate. So if the day supply number is decreasing at the same time that the sales rate is decreasing, that means that the amount of used cars actually available in the used car market is shrinking massively. And availability is everything with used cars. If there are not a lot of options, then there are a lot of people that will then get kicked out of the market because they just can't find what they're looking for. And this is what a lot of car dealerships are telling me, is that they would be able to sell more used cars if they could get the right used cars, but they can't. There's just not enough inventory. And so that's another thing to support what's happening here in the used car market. Now, although the used car market is starting to trend downwards, the new car market is doing the exact opposite. So the new car market saw a year-over-year gain of 8.6%. Now, I'm going to make a dedicated video talking about what's happening within the new car market, But this shows kind of another like flip within the market, because at the beginning of the year, what we were seeing is softening with the new car market and strengthening with the used car market. And now we're starting to see the opposite, where the new car market is actually starting to strengthen and the used car market is starting to soften. If you're wondering, the estimate for the amount of new cars that will be sold in 2023 has been revised upwards again. 14.8 million units is what we're looking at. So that's an increase of 9.3%. So yeah, it looks like new car sales are just improving. And well, speaking of new cars, new EV sales are actually increasing yet again. There was a lot of softening at the beginning of the year with EV sales, but a lot of automakers, and this was led by Tesla, dropped their prices on EVs, and this has definitely helped. So it's estimated that the EV market will sell about 1 million cars here in the US for the 2023 sales year. And on top of that, they're going to have a 7% market share here in the US, which is the largest market share in terms of what EVs have seen. So in 2022, there was 167,000 new EVs sold in the first quarter of 2022. Now in 2023, the estimate is about 225,000 units. So that's a very large increase. And again, that's on the new side of things. Now, on the used side of things, EV sales are also increasing as well. The big headline figure is that the volume increased by 32%. And this actually makes a lot of logical sense when you think about it, because, well, as new EV sales increase, used EV sales naturally will come up too, because, well, every single new car that gets purchased will eventually get sold as a used car. And so the availability with used EVs is just increasing over time. So this is also going to increase sales as well. And the thing that's also fascinating about this set is that used EV prices are actually also increasing, which is kind of surprising because we saw a lot of price cuts with the new cars. So you think that those price cuts would push the used car values down, which with certain models, right, especially within Tesla, definitely there was a lot of downward pressure on that. But within the overall market, EV prices are starting to, slightly increase. And so what this basically shows is that we're going to see a market that is going to be, I wouldn't say dominated, but more dominated, right, by EVs. Now, if you're wondering in terms of pricing at the end of the first quarter here, the average used EV was just under $44,000, and the average new EV was just under $60,000. And so I think that's, probably another reason why we're starting to see these used EV sales pick up, because $15,000, it's quite a bit of money. It's a big enough difference to maybe push people to buy the used one over the new one. So let's pull everything together from today's video to explain what is currently happening within the car market. So first off, we're going to throw the EV topic to the side because that also kind of needs its own dedicated video. But I mean, what I will say in this video is, again, when you connect two and two together, it seems like pretty simplistic, pretty logical. Manufacturers cut prices on new EVs, so that increased new EV sales because, well, manufacturers with ICE cars haven't exactly cut prices. And so, EVs, especially with the new federal tax credit, right, they look pretty enticing to a lot of buyers. And then with the sale of more new EVs, we're going to have more used EVs being sold because there's just going to be more supply on the market with used EVs. Now, as for the rest of the car market, the 93% of the new car market, and I think it's like 96, 97% of the used car market, because used EV sales only make up like 3 or 4% of used car sales. Here's why we are seeing a decline in the used car market at the same time that we're seeing an increase in the new car market, and it comes down to dealer discounts and interest rates. So currently, we have really high interest rates, but the thing to know about interest rates is there's always a difference between new car interest rates and used car interest rates. Used car interest rates are always higher than new car interest rates. The average new car interest rate right now is around 6-ish%, whereas the average used car interest rate is around 10 to 11%. And this is really important when you take into account dealer discounts. So this is not across the board, but with a lot of brands, because supply is better with new cars, there are a lot of dealers that are starting to discount those new cars off of MSRP. And so although new car prices are significantly higher today than they were last year, discounts off of new cars are also higher. I mean, the same time last year, the average customer was paying over MSRP, whereas now the average customer is paying under MSRP on a new car. And so when you combine the discount off of MSRP that some dealers are giving on new cars, and frankly, some manufacturers are starting to offer rebates, and the lower interest rate, then this puts a lot of people in a situation where, although they're paying more money for the new car in terms of the out the door price, their payment on the new car is actually pretty similar to what their payment would be on the used car because of that interest rate difference. And so this is pushing more people into the new car market from the used car market. And again, supply with the new car market is really good. It's not as good as what it was, prior to the pandemic, but it's improving quite a bit. Whereas supply with the used car market is getting worse and worse. And so a lot of buyers are in a situation where, well, they can't find the car that they want in the used car market. And on top of that, with most buyers, 85% of new car buyers and like almost 50 something percent of used car buyers being people that are going to finance the purchase, finding out that, well, because the interest rate difference, the difference in payment isn't all that much between the purchases, again, they're naturally going to go to the new car purchase. And so, it's too soon to tell like how long this trend is going to last, but if dealerships continue to discount their inventory and if manufacturers continue to roll out more and more rebates because manufacturing continues to increase at the same time that the new car market is, although it's increasing, not increasing at the rate that manufacturing is increasing, then this is just going to push more people in the new car market, which I think is actually a good thing because used car prices are still too dang high. And so we need something to put downward pressure on that used car market to allow supply to actually increase. And I'm not talking about day supply, but I'm talking about the actual supply of used cars to increase, because then that'll help the prices, come down, normalize a little bit, and it'll help everything level out a little bit more with the car market. But regardless, let me know what you guys think about this situation. Let me know what your game plan is now that you know that, well, the market's, I wouldn't say it's flip-flopping, but it's starting to adjust in a different direction. I'll see ya.